steam driven. Oh, there it is. Yeah. Right. Okay. We're now live streaming on YouTube. Welcome everyone to tonight's full council meeting. I'd like to welcome everyone and remind everyone, as we've said, to keep your microphone switched off and desk call to speak, and I'll try to get you in an order so you know when you're next. Joe, can we have a roll call, please?
Yes, thank you, Chair. Good evening, everybody. Okay, Councillor Rob Appleyard. Rob, are you there? Councillor Tim Ball.
Yeah.
Thank you. Councillor Sarah Bevan.
Present.
Councillor Colin Blackburn.
Present.
Alison Bourne.
Present.
Shelley Bromley.
Present.
Neil Butters.
Present.
Vic Clark.
Present.
Sue Craig.
Present.
Paul Crossley. Jerry Curran. Chris Dando.
Present.
Jess David.
Present.
Tom Davis.
Present.
Sally Davis.
Present.
Doug Deacon.
Present.
Winston Dugood.
Present.
Mark Elliott.
Present.
Michael Evans.
Yeah.
Andy Furs, present. Kevin
Here.
Guy.
Present.
Alan Hale.
Present.
Liz Hardman.
Present.
Steve Hedges.
Present.
Joel Hurst.
Present.
Lucy Hodge.
Present.
Duncan Hounsell.
Present.
Sean Hughes.
Present.
Eleanor Jackson.
Present.
Grant Johnson.
Alive and well.
Dr. Kumar.
Speaking.
Hal McPhee.
Present.
Ruth Malloy.
Hello, present.
Paul May.
Present.
I've had apologies from Councillor Matt McCabe. Sarah Moore.
Present.
Robin Moss.
Here.
Paul Myers.
Present.
Lisa O'Brien.
Present.
Michelle O'Doherty.
Present.
Bharat Pankania.
Present.
June Player.
Present.
Vic Pritchard.
Present.
Manda Rigby.
Present.
Dina Romero.
Present.
Mark Roper.
Present.
Richard Samuel.
Present.
Bruce Shern.
Present.
Brian Simmons.
Present.
Alistair Singleton.
Present.
Sean Stevenson McGall.
Present.
Andy Waite.
Present.
Karen Walker.
Here.
Sarah Warren.
Present.
Karen Warrington.
Present.
Chris Watt. Ryan Wills.
Present.
David Wood.
Present.
I see you, Chris. Thank you. Joanna Wright.
Present.
Just going back, Rob Appleyard.
Yes, I am here. I was
Thank
just
you.
having a moment.
Paul Crossley. Not at the moment. Jerry Curran. Okay, thank you.
Joe, I think both Paul Crossley and Jerry Curran are expected, so they might just turn up or be having a bit of problem connecting
Okay,
or something.
I'll keep an eye. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So thank you for that. So that's item 1 complete. Item 2 on the agenda, declarations of interest. Joe, are there any declarations informed to you?
So yeah, none notified to me. So you could just do a quick check if there's anything to come up, but I haven't been told. Thank you.
Okay, so councillors, if there's any item on the agenda where you feel that you may be conflicted, please have your say now. You need to say it as well, not just so, but there will be an opportunity. If something comes to mind later and you put it in the chat, just make sure that you stop me at some point and we make sure that you verbally state it. I think that's what I've been informed. You have to make a verbal statement. I think that's right, Joe, isn't it?
Yeah, it needs to be declared. So either by me or you or the councillor. So we'll make that happen if somebody does do that. Thanks.
Great, thank you. Item 3 on the agenda, minutes of the 23rd of February. So can I take those as a true and accurate record, please? I've got Councillor Jackson with a hand up. Is there somebody?
I'll propose that, correct?
Yeah, proposer. Thank you, Eleanor. I've got Councillor Hale seconding. I can see that hand up. All those in favour? Yeah, we've got hands everywhere. Yeah, thank you, everyone. Yeah, that's lovely. Thank you. So that's duly taken on board there, Joe. Item 4, announcements. So I plan to have a 5-minute break at some point around the hour mark or short hour, hour 15, wherever it's a convenient time to break. And I've been asked to make the following statement. So at a recent council meeting, the word gaslighting was used by a member in the context of a political debate. Gaslighting is defined as a form of emotional manipulation that often results in the recipient doubting their perception of reality and their own sanity. Whilst the member using the word continues to hold the views that they were seeking to express in the overall debate, upon reflection, they acknowledge the wider meaning of the term gaslighting in connection with the domestic abuse and would emphasise that it is not meant to trivialise the act of gaslighting, and they sincerely regret any offence caused. So I'd just like to make sure that's placed on record, please. Okay, so the next item from my announcement is actually I've got a brief statement from Councillor Romero on safety for women, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Good evening. I am sure you were as distressed as I was on hearing about Sarah Everard's death. A repeated phrase has been why she, a woman, had chosen to walk back home at night. This had led to many questioning why the onus is on women to monitor their actions and behaviour. This puts the blame for attack on the victim rather than on the perpetrator. The women councillors of this council met last week and agreed that we would make a stand against this and work together with all our colleagues to make our streets and public places safe and feel safe for everyone. This includes empowering all to call out unwanted attention and aggression in speech and action, and we duly issued a statement to that effect. I hope that I can rely on all councillors to support this position. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Romero, as leader of the council. Thank you very much for that. As is almost traditional at the moment, after a whole year, we've got another COVID statement from Councillor, leader of the council as well. Councillor Romero.
Thank you, Chair. So just to recap, in this authority, we still have very low case numbers and continue to have had comparatively few deaths. Our vaccination programme is going well, and the majority of those in the top tiers have now been vaccinated. We also have both asymptomatic and symptomatic testing facilities in place across Bath, Keynsham and Midsomer Norton. Pressure at the RUH has reduced, and while we have a few cases arising in school settings, the general trajectory continues to look positive. Our COVID safety officers have been working with the police in hotspots across the region to try and ensure the current rules are being adhered to. The council is still distributing grants to business. Over 9,000 applications have been processed and over £50 million has been awarded. We are still taking calls at the hub. The total calls taken is now well over 12,000. The hub is still delivering food parcels and staff are still volunteering at the vaccination centres, and our staff are doing their day jobs too. This is on top of a year of huge challenge for most of us. Again, I hope you will all agree our staff are extraordinary and will join me in saying thank you for everything they have done throughout this last year. We are now moving towards more relaxation of lockdown regulations. Most children are back at school. From the 29th of March, people can start to meet up outside. The stay-at-home rule ends on the 29th of March. We expect non-essential shops, including hospitality venues, libraries, hairdressers, and some leisure facilities to open from the 12th of April. Many more businesses and venues, including the Roman bars, will again open on the 17th of May. The light at the end of the tunnel is definitely getting closer. But I would just like to end by continuing to urge caution as we start to return to some form of normality. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you for that statement. That's well, it's promising, and we'll see how the next few months go. So that's item 4 completed. Item 5 on the agenda, any urgent business agreed by the chair. I agreed a paper to come forward. We'll be taking that as the first substantive item below, and we'll discuss and debate it at that point in time. So I'll move on, but we will see it. Yeah. And it's all been circulated, so you all know that it's that you all know what's to come, and we'll take that before item 8. Excuse me. Next item on the agenda, item 6, is urgent decisions. Now, there was a chief executive urgent decision made. The decision is here for information only. It is within the papers. There is no decision been made, so there's no debate. Group leaders were fully informed throughout this whole process, so it's therefore noting and information only. So I hope you just draw your attention to that and you're all aware. Thank you. Item 7 on the agenda is items from the public. So I've got 3 speakers. I'd just like to remind all speakers, and that's elected members tonight as well, that we are in this pre-election period called PERDA for both the WECA and the PCC elections. So I don't necessarily want to, but if necessary, if we get into the realms of WECA or PCC territory, I have the ability to mute you. So please don't stray that far, and we shall have an enjoyable debate this evening across all subject matters. So I don't know, Martin Grixoni, are you there? I think you're first on my list. Martin.
Yes, I am here. Thank you, Chair.
Okay. So, you have 3 minutes, and over to you.
Thank you very much. So I wanted to speak tonight on something that that I really sense the council need to be held to account over, which is, in my estimation, the poor level of consultation that we're experiencing in the city. I was minded to do this after an ever-increasing series of examples became apparent to me, and the online clamour was breaking the noise levels, and so I genuinely felt something should be said at council. In my view, too big a proportion of the things being put through are not clear in your own manifesto and appear to be more of a hidden agenda, do not have sufficient or sometimes any consultation, and all too often the timeframe is just too short or the questions are too skewed. I'm suggesting that Bath really should have better consultation. So let me give you just a couple of examples. The Bath Road bus gate, no meaningful consultation gate might be a more appropriate phrase. Neither the public nor the stakeholders on the Hill, such as Cambridge School, have been consulted correctly. Just quoting from a letter to all parents from the school, the current proposal does not seem to be supported by data. The school is also disappointed that councillors in the Cabinet had not taken the opportunity to visit. Entry Hill, not properly consulted on, and you've completely failed to properly model the dispersed traffic pollution. Specifically, and pretty worryingly, I have been informed that New Residents Association excluded any non-Lib Dem from attending or speaking in order to give false evidence to the council that the community wanted it. Result, a U-turn from the council. The High Common Approach golf course, no consultation at all. In this instance, it was claimed that a frisbee course was the same as a golf course. Thousands disagreed, which resulted in a climb down by the council. Next, no traffic neighbourhood questionnaires done by a no doubt expensive London agency, and in my view, very poor value for money. There's massively insufficient internal reliability, and therefore it's psychometrically flawed. No questions on political views, household income or education levels. And the report itself notes that the level of bias introduced is unknown, but wrongly concludes that this was not a serious issue. It is. This would be laughed out of town by a graduate, so it could have done a much better job. Result, it's all gone a bit quiet. So there are so many other examples to quote from, such as the excessive ring of steel and no mobility impaired access in the city centre, never mind looking pretty appalling. But sadly, as usual, there's no time left. So I'll just leave you with a summary from the council's own community engagement charter when it states what it will do. Firstly, to discuss a proposal when it's at a formative stage, such as North Road or the Approach Golf Course? I don't think so. Secondly, to provide sufficient information to allow intelligent consideration. Skewed questionnaires not fit for purpose, not good enough. Ensure that there's adequate time for a considered response, too often only a few weeks, not good enough. Conscientiously take responses into account, not fully published for the public to see and scrutinise. And lastly, providing feedback for our decision. So I've not seen anything meaningful yet, apart from U-turns. So can I please request that you follow your own charter and just do better by Bath? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's perfect timing. Thank you very much, Martin. So group leaders, factual questions. I emphasise the word factual. Councillor Romero, please.
Thank you very much, Chair. Yes, I'd like to defer.
You've gone, sorry, Dina, you've gone quiet.
You've gone quiet, Dina.
Sorry, did you hear that?
I
No.
didn't know it. You got cut out.
Sorry, my apologies. I had a phone call at the same time, slightly oddly. I'd like to defer to Councillor Wright, please.
Councillor Wright, please.
Thank you very much for your statement. Are you aware that myself and officers have visited Kes School 3 times in the last few months?
Well, I have asked about this online, and it's apparent from the school's own statement that they didn't think that you had visited. So I can only defer to the answer from the letter to the school out to all the parents. So I don't know quite what to say to that.
It's a challenge since myself and the officers have visited there several times. So
Okay.
I think the
I suppose
information
that's
that they've
between,
supplied is incorrect.
Okay, thank you. The question asked and answered. Thank you. Councillor Myers, please.
Thank you. Do you have a record of the specific evidence examples you've got, and have you sent them to the council already?
I do have specific examples if that's needed, and if you'd like me to send that to the council, then I certainly can do. I don't know quite which one you were referring to there, Councillor Myers, but very happy to forward any information if that would be helpful.
Thank you. Councillor Walker, please.
Thank you, Martin, for your statement, but no factual questions.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor Moss, please.
No factual questions.
Thank you, Robin. Okay, so thank you very much, Martin. You can stay online until the end of the public session, or stay with us until the end of the public session. Next speaker I've got is Bob Goodman. Bob, are you there? I saw you earlier.
I'm there. I'm here. I'm just going to put my stopwatch on.
Okay, when you're
Yeah.
ready.
Yep. It is good to start my talk with positive news for the city. Only too often I have to report on the deceit and yes, destruction in the city by this council. But yesterday I learned that the peregrine falcons on St John's Church have laid their first egg. I hope there is more to come. This has been a success story, unless of course you're a pigeon, with young fledglings since 2006. Then this morning, in of course Coombe Down, I saw my first swallow of the year. I know one swallow doesn't make a summer, but let's hope it heralds a change in how this council treats its residents and puts them and the environment before their broken politics. You may be surprised that now I want to thank several cabinet members. Councillor Ball tweeted a few weeks ago, with some glee I suspect, how a planning appeal for houses on the hollow below the city farm has been rejected by a planning inspector. I hadn't even been aware of the application, but after some research, I found it had enormous similarities to Tufferfield, which has been approved by the very same planning committee. The original hollow refusal was on damage to World Heritage Site, which was in fact rejected by the planning inspector. He refused the appeal on the damage to the ecology on the site. And just to remind you, Tufferfields is of national importance. The hollow is not. Thank you, Councillor Ball, for highlighting the hypocrisy of the approval of Tufferfields, which is their own development. Perhaps Councillor Romero can explain why she objected to the hollow development, but will not support the residents of English Coombe Lane. I suppose it could be due to the fact she is a single shareholder of Avacus, or maybe it's not. Although not a cabinet member, I want to thank the chair of the planning committee and interestingly, the chief advisor to IMP. I wonder how Councillor McCabe can justify how, as an independent chair of the planning committee who decided the fate of Twyford Fields, but can now openly advise the MP regarding the Twyford planning process. I'm sure this will be one of the issues that the judge will take into account when inevitably this will go to a judicial review. Now, thanks also to Councillor Samuels for responding to my letter in the Chronicle on Newbridge Hill, where he has given away £500,000 to his development company. His response was it was to do with the previous administration. It is clearly not. I am so impressed with many residents who've contacted me, appalled with the behaviour of Councillor Samuels. Councillor Samuels Romero has said that this is for affordable reasons. A one-bedroom flat is 245,000, a two-bedroom flat 400. That is not affordable.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Goodman. Bang on time. Right, Councillor Romero, factual questions, please.
Yes, I'd like to defer to Councillor Ball, please.
Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Goodman, good to be here with you again this evening, and also nice to know you follow the Twitter debates. Do you actually understand the planning process and the due diligence of planning committee members actually undergo?
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, Councillor Myers, please.
No factual questions.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Walker, please.
Thank you, Bob, but no factual questions.
Thank you, Karen. Councillor Moss, please.
No factual questions.
Okay, thank you. And just for those people watching, we're getting messages that a number of councillors, Councillor Moss included, are having problems with their internet bandwidth. So therefore, we've advised them to switch off their video. Not that they've only got a face for radio, but actually it'll help with making sure that they can continue with the debate. Okay, thank you for that. Next public speaker. Thank you very much, Bob. Next public speaker is Mr. Reid. Ben, are you there?
I am. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello all. My name's Ben Reid. I'm pleased to speak to you this evening as chair of the Friends of Bath Approach Golf Course. I want to bring your attention to the ongoing closure of the course, Bath's only remaining public golf facility. As many of you will know, the closure of the golf course during the first COVID-19 lockdown in March last year was only ever intended as a temporary measure. Since then, a procurement process conducted mid-pandemic in far from ideal circumstances has unfortunately failed to find an appropriate commercial provider. I wanted to speak to the council this evening to report that thus far we've seen worryingly little progress in determining the future of this beautiful and popular green space, which adjoins Royal Victoria Park to the north of the city centre. This is despite a council commitment last summer for golf to remain on the 18-hole side of the site, known as High Common, and despite a petition which now has close to 5,000 signatures from people across the city and beyond indicating their support for the golf course to stay open. In view of the difficulties in finding a commercial operator, I and a group of fellow Bathonians and residents have formed a volunteer community group, Friends of Bath Approach Golf Course, which would like to repair and maintain the golf greens, keep the site clean and tidy, and raise funds for future improvements. Importantly, we want to do away with the use of chemical pesticides, take some of the maintenance burden off the council, and work towards reopening the golf course as soon as possible, so that everyone can enjoy High Common exactly as they have done since the middle of the last century. And I do mean everyone. Perhaps the overriding feature that gives the approach course its special character and its place in the affections of so many people is the fact that it's a shared space, doubling as a park for those who want to walk, jog, sit down and enjoy the views, and all manner of other exercise and recreation. There's ample space for everyone. No one should be excluded. It would be a sad, deeply unpopular, unintended consequence of last year's closure if the one group of users permanently excluded turned out to be regular and occasional golfers, who are the one group who've contributed most to the upkeep of the site over so many years by paying to play golf.
1 minute.
Thanks. It's important that we act very soon. Spring growth is already beginning, and another season without dedicated attention to the greens will be the death knell for public golf in Bath, meaning the loss of one of the very few affordable, outdoor, family-friendly sports facilities in the city. Ironically, just as golf experiences a huge increase in popularity. I believe that our proposal to the council offers a low-risk, low-cost way to work towards the resumption of golf on the site, coupled with a new tender process for a cafe operator who would take care of collection of golf fees and hire of golf clubs. The maintenance of the course would remain split between the council and volunteers. We're proposing that the former 12-hole side of the site will be golf-free, with opportunity for increased wilding and biodiversity benefits. Overall, this has good potential to make the approach course self-funding once again, to revitalise this lovely green space, bring back all those who used to enjoy it, and attract a good many more people in the years to come. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reid. Appreciate it. We're running on time. Right, Councillor Romero, factual questions, please.
I was just wondering if Councillor Crossley wanted to ask a question, and if so, I would defer to him.
Councillor Crossley.
No, I have no factual questions. I am in contact with Ben, so I'll leave anything for a comment when we meet.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Councillor Myers, please.
Just wanted to clarify, are you proposing therefore then a community asset transfer under the council's policy, or if not, are you aware of this policy?
I am aware of that. That's not the proposal. So this will be a friends group in the same way that some friends group exists for other parks across the city.
Great, thank you. And Councillor Walker, please.
Oh, Ben, yes. So you've formed a voluntary community group to take on the running of the golf green spaces. Have you submitted a business plan to Baines?
So there's a proposal before the council, yes. Not a formal business plan as such, but quite a detailed document explaining what we would like to do and making suggestions for the general upkeep and maintenance of the site. So there is a proposal, yeah.
Okay, thank you, Ben.
Thank you, Karen. And Councillor Moss, please.
Defer to Liz Hardman.
Ben, I'm sure you are aware that many Baines residents from outside of Bath actually use the Approach golf course as they did the Entry Hill golf course, the cheapest place to play golf in Baines. Would you not agree that by keeping the golf element of the site open, it would encourage many more Baines residents, such as those in my ward of Fulton, from outside of Bath to enjoy the site?
Absolutely, yeah, fully agree. So the petition, which has sort of 4,850 signatures now, has a range of postcodes which do indicate that there is that support across the local authority, not just in Bath. So the petition bears that out, certainly.
Thank you, Liz. Yes, so that statement, along with the other statements, will all be passed to the relevant cabinet members. And as we heard, that Councillor Crossley and Mr. Reid are in contact anyway. So yeah, it will all be passed along, and due recognition of those statements will be made. Okay, that's the end of item 7 on the agenda. We've got now next the urgent item, which is before item 8. In our papers, we've so I've got Councillor Romero to move this, I understand. Dina, are you there?
Yes,
there you are.
I am here. Yes, this is the delegate powers to make orders. Correct?
That's right.
Okay. Yes. So as I understand it, the rationale for this item is to address a situation that has developed in one parish council where no one has yet come forward to fill the vacancies. This proposal offers a sensible solution, and I'm very happy to second. Oh, no, I'm not very happy to propose it.
You're proposing it, yes, that's right.
Yes.
I'm going to ask Councillor Myers to come forward.
Yeah. Can I speak now? Yes.
Yes, please. Yeah, Paul. Yeah, off you go.
Parish councils and parish meetings are the bedrock of local democracy, the first rung on the ladder for government, and often the first port of call for residents in need of assistance. If a parish council cannot be quorate, then it can't act in the interests of residents, and it can't make the decisions its members were elected to make. As somebody who served on the parish council in the past for 8 years, I cannot stress enough the value they bring to communities. As a group, we fully support the council in its bid to appoint temporary parish councillors. We hope this can be done speedily to ensure local residents are not denied a voice in their parishes for a moment longer than they need to be. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Now I've got Councillor Moss on this item. Is that right, Robin?
Yes, I'm happy to support this emergency proposal. First of all, apologies for low broadband, meaning you're just seeing a photo, although that's probably a benefit rather than a negative. Happy to support this proposal. I know it's specifically in relation to a single parish, but there are a number of parishes and towns that are carrying vacancies at the moment because of a lack of by-elections over the last year. And it's also worrying that I know of instances where current parish councillors are thinking of resigning because of the failure to extend the emergency powers for virtual meetings. So let's hope that we don't have to use these emergency powers too often, but I do worry that it won't be just one instance where parishes find themselves in trouble because of resignations.
Thank you. Thank you for that. I've got no other speakers on this item. It's been moved and seconded. I think we'll take the majority decision as in favour, as the two major parties have supported this. So I'm going to ask for any people to vote against, please. Can you make that clear in the chat? Any against? I'll just pause there. Nothing coming through. And any abstentions, please? Can you make your abstentions clear in the chat function, please? Okay, nothing coming through. So I'll take that as unanimous. Joe, can we record that as unanimous?
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah. Is that okay? Good. Right. Thank you for that, everyone. Item 8 on the agenda. This is amendments to the Constitution. I've got Councillor Ball, I understand, to move this. Tim.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I won't take very long this evening. It's mainly procedural issues. We had an issue where we're going to look at delegation of planning committee issues a while ago. This was held up by a legal case being taken place, a judicial review, the Hems case, in fact, which then brought up a whole lot of issues regarding the council's actual procedural issues regarding planning. So I will actually move the amendment. I thank Councillor Jackson for being very gracious and actually giving us a few more words of alteration for the main issues, who points out very clearly in her usual way of how there are textual errors, and we're doing this very well. So I'm going to move 1.1, agree the amendments to planning delegation scheme as set out in revised appendix 1, and to agree to delegate to officers other textual changes as may be required to ensure clarity. Agree the amendments to planning committee terms of reference contained in appendix 2 and described in paragraph 3.3. Proposed changes shown in track changes. Agree the insertion of clarifying paragraph to the general officer delegation scheme as described section 3.4. On a recommendation of group leaders, amend the constitution to formalise the position of political group motions to continue to be taken as the last item on the agenda, as described in paragraphs 3.6 to 3.8. On a recommendation from group leaders, agree to remove the petition scheme from the constitution described in 3.9 to 3.14. I therefore move.
Thank you, Tim. So just so that Tim read through those recommendations that are in our papers, because there are slight wording adjustments. I don't think there's anything substantive there, but there was some slight wording adjustments to that. So that's why Tim read those through. I've got seconder Councillor Sally Davis, and I've got a couple of speakers after that, just so they know who they are. So I've got Eleanor Jackson and Karen Walker. So Sally, over to you to second, please.
Thank you. I'm happy to second the motion before us regarding the amendments to the Constitution
The planning amendment should clarify the position for members regarding commenting on an application, knowing residents' views following public consultation. The terms of reference and other proposed changes just bring our constitution into line with what is actually happening. So I'm more than happy to second the motion before us.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Sally. Councillor Jackson, I think you wanted to add to that. Thank you. Over to you, Eleanor.
Thank you very much, Chair. First, I'd like to thank Councillor Ball for accepting my suggestions with regard to the amendments so gracefully, and also the request that paragraph 2 of Appendix 1 receives some TLC in the form of punctuation and relative pronouns. The whole point of grammar is to remove possible ambiguity, and the commendable direction of this whole motion that we're considering tonight is clarity. The paragraph I'm struggling with should underline the duty of both ward councillors and statutory consultees, such as parish and town councils, to present proper planning policy grounds for the support or objection of an application. There was a famous occasion when the late Councillor Betty Perry persuaded Norton Radstock Town Council about 15 years ago to support an application to extend a store on Midsummer Norton High Street because she liked to buy her knickers there. Today, one would hope that she would quote the core strategy, the placemaker's plan, the NPPF, and argue that it is the economic benefits of bringing this business to the town which outweigh the impact of a very ugly building in the conservation area. These changes that we're being asked to approve tonight are all important for making planning more transparent. One final request. I spent hours and hours explaining procedures to residents wishing to register their objections. Could we have a flowchart put up on the council website explaining the procedures and at what point members of the public can intervene? And also a piece of A4 paper tied to a lamppost is often yards from the site in question is also a not good enough way of communicating in the 21st century. The Labour group will be supporting this motion.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. So I've got Councillor Karen Walker and I don't have any after that. So Karen.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted some clarity really. In 1.1, Tim, you've crossed out to enable members to refer applications to the planning committee up to 2 days after the closure of the public consultation period. Then we go to Appendix 1, and then you've left in 2 working days after the close of the latest public consultation. So I just want a little bit of clarity on that.
Okay, thank you, Karen. I'm sure we'll get Tim to do that in his summing up.
Lovely, thank you.
I don't have any other speakers then, so I'll move to Tim to sum up then, please.
Yes, thank you very much. To clarify for Karen, it's 2 working days after the final element of consultation. So that is in the appendix. That's what we're actually voting on this evening. We've already agreed to allow officers to make textual changes as well to ensure it actually reads correctly. So all that will be taken in. Can I thank Eleanor Jackson for her words this evening? It's always worth taking on board what Eleanor says. She normally makes common sense as far as planning issues concerned. And as for late Betty Perry, I don't ever recall her mentioning the NPPF or other issues. I'm sure Betty would have done it in her usual way, which is quite different than what the rest of us normally work on. But it's very nice to hear her name mentioned in this council again this evening. And therefore, I hope people will all vote for the motion this evening.
Okay, thank you very much, Tim. So that's been moved, seconded, debated and summed up. I'll take again the majority of you is in favour. So any against, can they please make that clear in the chat, please? Okay, nothing coming through there, Joe. So I'm going to move to those who are abstaining. Any abstentions, please make it clear in the chat, please. Nothing coming through. So again, I'm going to take that as unanimous, Joe. So that's
yes,
what we're doing.
Thank you. Yes.
And passed unanimously. Well done, Tim. Thank you. Item 9 on the agenda, interim monitoring officer. I'll give Michael time to leave the room, so to speak. Councillor Romero to move, I believe.
Thank you, Chair. Yes, I will not take up much time in my moving of this. This paper is before you to extend the interim appointment to the statutory post of the interim monitoring officer until July the 31st, predominantly to cover the election period. Obviously, following this, the council's normal recruitment processes will then apply. So I'm very happy to propose.
Thank you, Councillor Romero. Councillor Myers, Paul, to second, I believe.
Yes, I'm very happy to second this motion. Since Michael Hewitt took up the post of interim monitor officer in December, it's been a privilege to work with him, and every confidence that he'll continue to serve to the best of his ability, both the council and the residents of Bath and North East Somerset Council.
Excellent. Thank you, Paul. So it's been moved and seconded. I don't have any speakers. Just pause a second. So, Councillor Romero, I don't know whether we want to sum up. I will ask you to sum up.
Well, I would just echo Councillor Myers' words on how admirably Michael has fulfilled his duties so far.
Thank you very much. So
happy to move to the vote now.
Thank you very much. So we'll vote on that again. We'll take the majority view. Any against, please make that clear in the chat function, please. Just pausing to give anyone a chance to get their fingers working. Okay, nothing coming through, Joe. So any abstentions, please make that clear. No abstention. So again, that's carried unanimously, Joe. So thank you very much. Excellent. Okay, well done. So item, well, I'm not going to break now. We'll keep going. We're on a roll. Let's keep going for the minute. Item 10 on the agenda is confirmation of chair delegate for 2021-22 civic year. Councillor Myers, I understand, to move.
Indeed. Just checking. I've got my microphone on. Yes, sorry about that delay.
Yeah,
yes.
We can hear you.
I'm absolutely delighted to propose Councillor Lisa O'Brien for the position as the next chairman of this council. Having served as vice chairman during this last year, she's demonstrated tenacity, diligence and efficiency in assisting already the smooth running of the council meetings, sometimes under difficult circumstances. Lisa first became a Baines councillor in 2015, having been elected to represent the ward of South Keynsham. However, she'd already been a member of Keynsham Town Council since 2011, subsequently serving for 8 years, 2 of which were as chairman, so had some time to hone her skills both for managing meetings and ensuring even-handed debate. During her first term as a Baines councillor, she was a member of the Planning, Housing and Economic Development Scrutiny Panel, and she was also closely involved in scrutinising retail activity in both city and town centres in neighbourhood outlets. In addition, she's been a member of the Avon Pension Fund Committee, taking a keen interest in moving from investment in fossil fuel companies towards emerging markets infrastructure schemes. Re-elected in 2019, she's currently a member of the Climate Emergency and Sustainability Scrutiny Panel, with a particular concern to reduce waste and litter in our area. In addition to her council responsibilities, Lisa is a long-time trustee of Keynsham and District MenCap Society. She's always stood up for and campaigned in support of the rights and opportunities of disabled people, and with a family member who has learning difficulties and also uses a wheelchair, she's learned from experience the challenges and obstacles that those residents can face. It remains her #1 priority to champion their rights. As a personality, she's outward-looking, enthusiastic and sincere. She's a strong sense of fair play and humanity for all, together with a can-do attitude to difficult issues. I feel she'll make an excellent chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Myers. Seconder, Councillor Romero, I understand.
Thank you. Yes, I'm very happy to second the proposal that Lisa O'Brien is our next chair. She has done a very good job aiding the current chair, and I'm sure she will make an excellent chair from whenever the May AGM is onwards. Thank you.
Thank you for that. I don't have any other speakers on my list at the moment. Okay, I shall. I don't know whether you want to. We'll go to the vote, Paul. I don't know whether you want to sum up. You have the right to, but I don't think you need to. Okay, fine. And I just before we go, sorry, Paul. Okay, thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. And just before we do, I'd just like to also add my appreciation of Lisa's support for this year as chair. It's been challenging and a bit different, but she's been very supportive and very helpful as we go through. So just like to add that. Yes. So I'm assuming the majority are in favour. Those against, please make it known. She'll pause. And any abstentions, can you make that known in the chat function, please? I'm just pausing. Right. So again, no against, no abstentions. That's unanimously passed in favour. Thank you, Joe. Okay, excellent. Well done, Lisa. Thank you very much. Okay, item 11 on the agenda, and as I said, we're on a roll, so we'll keep going. We've got a Liberal Democrat motion on virtual meetings. Councillor David, are you there and ready to move?
Yes, I am. Yeah, thank you.
Over to you, Jess.
Thank you. So I'd like to start by thanking the council officers for helping us make a pretty smooth transition to online working over the last year. We've come a long way, with us all now recognising the value of the mute and unmute function. However, the regulations that permit councils to hold virtual member meetings are due to expire on the 7th of May. And despite lobbying from councils and membership organisations for the ability to hold virtual meetings to be extended, it is not yet clear that this will happen. This leaves us in a difficult situation, with the government's roadmap out of lockdown specifying that social distancing will be in place until at least the 21st of June. And so this motion calls on government to enable virtual and hybrid meetings to be an ongoing option for councils alongside meetings in person. Clearly, we need to be able to have means to meet safely while social distancing measures are in place. But this motion also recognises that in the longer term, we should also have the option to hold a virtual or hybrid meeting where we choose to do so. This would give us greater flexibility. For example, it would enable one or two of our members to join a decision-making meeting where they were unable to attend due to ill health. It would also enable us to continue to meet during extreme weather, and a much wider group of our residents to participate in our meetings without needing to travel to the Guildhall to do so. I stress that this motion only asks for the flexibility to meet virtually where we need to do so, and it is not intended to replace our face-to-face meetings. We all miss real-life meetings and human interaction, and there are huge benefits from discussing and debating issues together in a room. However, we should also recognise the gains that we have made in adapting to new ways of working. Being able to meet virtually has enabled council business to continue through the pandemic, and we have continued to engage residents and enable people to take part. Lockdown has also shown the value of broadcasting more of our council meetings online. Previously, this was mainly the case for Cabinet and full council, but now hundreds of people are watching committee meetings and webinars, and this is great progress in opening up local democracy. As someone with a young family and a work life, the use of virtual meetings has meant a much more efficient use of my time. I've needed less childcare, and I've also saved significant time and reduced my environmental impact by not needing to travel. So I do hope that we'll be able to use virtual meetings more widely for briefings, training and informal sessions. For residents with caring responsibilities or with disabilities, enabling virtual meetings immediately makes our work more inclusive and accessible. I feel that the option of having a hybrid meeting would be a great step forward to modernise the way we work, combining a physical meeting with some on-screen participation. I understand that council officers are already looking at the technology and practical requirements we would need to make this work. And so to sum up, I hope all members will support this motion and call on government to make virtual and hybrid meetings a permanent option for councils. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Councillor David. I've got Councillor Myers, I understand, second.
Yes, that's right. The Conservative group welcomes this motion and I will gladly second it. The past 12 months have posed unprecedented challenges for us all. The residents of Bath and North East Somerset have seen their lives change beyond anything they could have expected. As councillors, we've had to adapt to new ways of working whilst ensuring that we continue to represent our residents in the way they expect us to when they elected us. I'd like to thank council staff who during the pandemic have been instrumental in ensuring that interruption to the democratic process in Baines has been kept to an absolute minimum. That we so swiftly were able to adapt to this new way of meeting and then to ensure members of the public could still participate in democracy through the live broadcast of meetings on YouTube is a testament to the hard work of staff and the adaptability of members. As has become apparent over the course of the past year, and is noted in the motion before us, there are indeed many benefits to holding virtual and hybrid meetings. We should also bear in mind that some of our members have greater health risks than others. We can't at this stage speak with any degree of certainty around future and lingering dangers posed by COVID-19. We therefore believe that no member should be placed in a position whereby attending a meeting in person could cause them to jeopardise their health. Although we agree that councils should be able to choose between holding virtual, hybrid or in-person meetings, depending on their specific needs, we would not wish to see in-person meetings abandoned completely in a post-COVID world. Attending council meetings is a fundamental obligation and central to our role as councillors. Finally, if video killed the radio star, then it certainly killed democracy. And as this virtual meeting chamber has allowed us to continue to serve our residents, and although I'm personally looking forward to the day when we can again hold these meetings in person, I think it's eminently sensible to ensure virtual meetings can continue for the moment if necessary. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Meyer. So I've got a long list. I've got Karen Walker first, then Kevin Guy. So Councillor Walker.
Thank you, Chair. The Independents are surprised to see this motion on the council agenda this evening. We can only think this is another publicity stunt from the Lib Dems. Back on the 3rd of December, the independent councillors wrote to the council leader, copying all Bath and North East Somerset councillors. We were seeking some assurance that this council would investigate the possibilities of continuing to hold virtual and introducing hybrid meetings when we emerge from the pandemic. We copied in all councillors to enable everyone to have an input and hear everyone's views. Generally, everybody was in favour that it would be sensible to have 3 options available for meetings: in person, virtual and hybrid. This letter was discussed at a group leaders meeting. All group leaders agreed that this council should write making this request. A comprehensive letter was written from the council and sent on the 16th of December, signed by the leader of the council, to Luke Hall, MP, Minister of State, Housing, Communities and Local Government. This was sent as agreed on behalf of all four group leaders of this council, to which we got a reply. The independent councillors have also written to the Local Government Association for Independence, lobbying them to take this forward. Obviously, we will support this motion, but we find it very strange, apart from, as I said, for publicity purposes, why we are looking at this here again tonight. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Walker. Kevin Guy, then Councillor Grant Johnson. So Kevin, please.
Thank you. I just wanted to say a few words to support Councillor Davies' motion. Local government is enhanced by the ability of people from a wide variety of backgrounds to offer their skills and time to serve their communities, whether as councillors or as council staff. There are a whole host of reasons why it may be difficult for individuals to attend meetings in person, especially at the Guildhall, when meetings often finish late at night. This might include caring or childcare responsibilities, transport problems, or indeed vulnerability to COVID-19 or other public health concerns. And of course, reducing the need to travel will result in a reduction of carbon emissions due to our climate emergency status. The ability to meet virtually represents the removal of one of these barriers to the engagement of democracy locally. We need to keep it that way. We know from the House of Commons data for 2020 that female MPs are more likely than male to take advantage of the opportunity to vote from home when hybrid voting was in place. So it seems likely that retaining this facility for the council will make it more representative for discussion. So no wonder our current leader of the House of Commons and his old Etonian cabinet colleagues are against this concept. The flexibility to contribute to democracy from home that has served us so well over the recent period must be maintained and a hybrid system explored thoroughly. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much, Councillor Guy. So I've got Councillor Johnson, then Shelley Bromley. So Councillor Grant Johnson, please.
Thank you, Chair. One of the few things we need to do as councillors is to turn up to these meetings. Of all the varied things we do within the communities we serve, there is an expectation that we are the elected voice of those residents at these meetings and on this council. However, what are residents currently getting? Blank commuted Zoom profiles with the obvious connection difficulties, as so wonderfully demonstrated in this very meeting tonight. All of which leads to members either not being able to contribute or having their important points misinterpreted. Now, if this motion was about using virtual meetings as a temporary change in the context of COVID, then I would of course be supporting it, but it isn't. If this motion had a point about improving broadband to a level where no disruption to our council meetings was possible, then I might be able to back it. Sadly, as we all know, that isn't going to be a reality. And speaking of reality, this motion is suggesting that 59 councillors travelling to the Guildhall will help defeat the climate emergency. But I've got news for the Lib Dems, it won't. Maybe if we had some decent policies and decent decision-making from the Lib Dem administration, rather than this tokenistic motion, we might actually be seeing some action on the climate emergency. But sadly, this is not the case, as we saw with the recent fiasco involving the gas generator in Midsomer Norton. My other issue with this motion is that it says nothing about the impact virtual meetings are having on our mental health. We are all upstanding members of our respective local communities, and as such, we tend to be involved with numerous groups and organisations, all of which have moved to virtual meetings during the pandemic. Virtual meetings are in no way a substitution to the social interaction we all need as individuals. This council should be looking at ways to bring people safely back together as we move out of this pandemic, because it's what our residents will be expecting to see. Social interaction is an important part of our roles as councillors and an important part of life in general. This motion seeks to destroy that.
Thank you, Councillor Johnson. So I've got Shelley Bromley, then YK Kumar. So Shelley, please. Councillor Bromley.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to speak in favour of this motion. The pandemic has changed life forever, and there's a real opportunity now to create a better work-life balance for everyone. Organisations emphasise the importance of mental well-being, and staff are asked at least annually to complete a well-being questionnaire. People want to work effectively, but also have time for their families, a social life, whatever that was, and to keep fit in whichever way they choose. By offering remote or hybrid meetings as well as face-to-face meetings, we're better meeting the criteria for a modern, balanced life. We all want to attract younger people to be councillors, and we all know how hard it is to work and to be a councillor effectively. By offering hybrid or remote meetings or face-to-face, we're widening diversity, offering opportunities to less mobile people to participate effectively, and helping those who live miles outside Bath to avoid a long trip home late at night, especially with the limitations of public transport for those who don't drive, which is an increasingly large number of young people nowadays. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Bromley. So I've got Councillor Kumar. I've got Eleanor Jackson, then Robin Moss and Steve Hedges. I've drawn a line at that point. So Councillor YK, please. Kumar.
Thank you, Chair. One of the major headlines of this morning has been that the nationwide is allowing 13,000, not 59, 13,000 office staff to choose where they work under a new flexibility system. When a building society can allow its staff to work from anywhere they wish, why should not a caring council like ours do so? Hybrid council meetings would allow more agility, flexibility, and those who want to socially mix, they are free to do that. According to the Auto Insurance Center, commuters spend about 100 hours commuting and 40 hours are generally stuck in traffic in normal year each year. Hybrid meetings will reduce commute, and even the council will save money on reimbursing the councillors' mileage charges, parking charges. The councillor would themselves save time, energy, and money, while the residents will be better off with much less pollution. A win-win-win, triple win situation for the council, councillor, and the residents. Chair, we are in climate emergency mode. One of the fastest and cheapest ways for employers and employees to reduce their carbon footprint and affect climate change is by reducing commuter travel. 59 is not a small number. Research shows that more than 30 minutes of one-way commuting is associated with increased level of stress, anxiety, and research shows that the commuting 10 miles to work each day is associated with various health issues like higher cholesterol, elevated blood sugar, increased risk of depression. I know that many councillors live more than 10 miles away from Guildhall. That means more health risk for them. Chair, we are now in the 21st year of the 21st century, and we must embrace the use of new advanced pinnacle technologies. Chair, full council meetings are always held in the evening, and loads of councillors would not only waste their time in commuting, rather they would be able to use that time spending with their family, and they would be also able to loading or unloading the dishwasher or helping in preparing sumptuous dinner for the whole family, as my wife or my councillor colleague, Councillor Pankhania, does for the whole community. Hope one day Councillor Pankhania will treat all of us. Thank you, Chair.
Okay, thank you, YK. Appreciate that. Thank you very much. So, Councillor Jackson next, please.
Thank you very much for letting me come in, Councillor Chairman. I noticed, well, you were the only person I could see laughing at my joke about the late Councillor Perry's underwear and her sourcing problems. And this is the whole problem with hybrid with Zoom meetings. You cannot see how people are responding to what you're saying. That's the first point. But the main point I want to make is about the planning committee. If you miss any part of the presentation as far as the decision on a particular planning application, you cannot vote. It happened to me with the crucial 32 English Combe Lane TUFA application in the summer, that I lost connectivity for about 10 minutes altogether, actually. I could not vote. Had I voted, it might very well have been a different outcome on that application. And it's intensely frustrating when you crash out in those circumstances. So I would hope that we can move the planning committee to actual face-to-face meetings as soon as possible, but bearing in mind we could always have the hybrid as a backup. And finally, I'd like to compliment the planning committee officers on the site visits that they've done in virtual reality. But these have really been very difficult, both the officers and for those who are trying to make sense of the location. So I hope we will get back to real meetings as soon as possible, but I think we should have this in our back cupboard to bring out if necessary, if it's appropriate for the circumstances. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Councillor Jackson. So I've got Councillor Robin Moss, please.
Thanks very much, Chair. The Labour Group's had a quite discussion about this, and we've allowed a free vote for members. I personally will be supporting it, but I think we need to be careful about the Pandora's box that we are potentially opening up, because this is the beginnings of the discussion about what new normal will actually look like. We're discussing this in the context of to be blunt, the failure of government to continue the legislation beyond the 6th of May to allow for virtual meetings. But this is the beginning of the discussion about what local democracy will look like going into the rest of this century and beyond. And there are lots of positives. I'm a member of the Foster Panel. Carers attend Foster Panel now virtually, and they are overwhelmingly in favour of that. And I understand that nationally, that is information that is a common picture across Foster Panels. As a parish councillor and as a parish clerk, small groups of parish councillors, we can get a lot more business done. I know that the regional CBI are moving entirely now to virtual meetings because they find that attendance is so much higher. But what we do lose, of course, is the human interaction. And let's not underestimate the importance and the value of that, whether it's in the office or in the meeting room. The opportunity for the side comment, the opportunity for just let's nip out and talk that over a cup of coffee, and that behind the scenes or side scenes or whatever discussion is very, very important. So I believe in the future that we will see very different meetings. We will see very different public interaction and participation. And I hope this motion will be passed tonight. But let's not do that with our eyes closed. Let's do that with our eyes open, that this is the first step on on how local democracy and local working is going to move into the future. It's not just about the pandemic. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Moss. Councillor Hedges is the last speaker, then I'll go back to the mover. So Councillor Steve Hedges, please.
Thank you, Chair. Firstly, I may get into trouble for this, but I find Councillor Grant Johnson to be a very depressing young man. But he's also a very lucky young man because he can use all his limbs, he can get about nice and freely, and he doesn't have to shield. Now, I'm one of the local councillors that does have to shield, and I am disabled. Going virtually or hybrid or council meetings, once council meetings are safe to go to, fine, I've got no problems with that. But I can see no problems with hybrid meetings, and we should be supporting that because COVID's going to be going on for, I reckon another couple of years at least. And if they decide on the 6th of May to end it, it will mean for me that I can no longer attend full council meetings. Not because I don't want to, but because they've taken my effective right away from doing that via the medium we're doing it now. Also, Chair, I'd like to point out that if we were to do it hybrid, a lot more disabled people could become councillors who probably wouldn't even thinking of becoming councillors because they wouldn't have to do all this travelling to and from the venues. I'm going to support the motion, obviously, and I'm going to leave it there. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Hedges. Before we go back to Councillor David, I'd just like to add my views, if I may. One was, I think Councillor Johnson mentioned the inability to contribute. I'd like to feel or think that I've been able to ensure that we've all been able to contribute equally and through these virtual meetings. I wouldn't like to feel that I've disenfranchised anyone by using this medium. So I'd just like to get that on record, please, because I don't want people feeling that just by using this medium, which in many ways is not ideal, and we've heard those discussions this evening, that it doesn't disenfranchise anyone. We're all treated equally through this medium. I tend to agree there are there is no replacement. I think Councillor Moss said there's no replacement for some of these corridor discussions and the human interaction element. But hybrid meetings do bring technical challenges. Through my work, I do most of my work through this sort of medium. So meeting people in person, it seems trivial, but it's actually very important to make sure that we actually meet in person at some times during the proceedings over a year, 6-month period or whatever. So I'd just like to throw in my 6 pennies. So Councillor Jess David, please, to sum up.
Thank you, Chair. So I just wanted to thank colleagues for your feedback and support largely for the motion this evening. I particularly welcome Councillor Myers' seconding of the motion and his supportive comments, and thank you also to the independent group. Councillor Johnson, I do note the concerns you have raised, but I would like to stress that this is not a tokenistic motion. It is a pragmatic and necessary step in order to operate through the ongoing coronavirus pandemic, but also to open up and modernise the way we work. I stress again that this really is only about us having the option going forward to consider how it is most appropriate to meet. And I very much agree with the points that Councillor Jackson made, that for decision-making meetings such as planning committee, we should always seek to meet face-to-face, and having a hybrid option would really only be used where necessary. Thank you to Councillors Bromley, Councillor Kumar and Councillor Hedges for their comments. I absolutely agree with the points you've made, and I think that this could be a significant way forward to encourage more people to consider standing to be a councillor and fitting it into their lives. So I'll leave it there, and I hope that this motion will get support. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor David. So that's been moved and seconded. We've debated it. We'll move to the vote. I'll take the majority view as in favour, but there obviously will be some cross-voting here. So those against, please, can you make your views clear in the chat function, please? We've got one coming in. I'll just pause there a moment. Okay, so we've got one vote against. I'll move to ask for those voting to abstain, please. Can you make, if you're abstaining, can you make your views clear in the chat? Just for those watching, the reason I hesitate is that some people, sometimes it takes a while to actually get the fingers working or get the technology working to make sure that you vote. So like Councillor Johnson mentioned, sometimes there's connection problems. Okay, so there's no abstention, so I've got one against. The majority I've taken is 4, so that is passed with the majority. Thank you very much. Okay, we've got that. Thank you. Okay, so I'd like to just have a leg stretch and a personal needs break. 5 minutes, I think, is good enough because we've got one significant item left on the agenda. So let's 5 minutes, please. Thank you, and mute. Just remember to mute. Thanks, Mike. Okay, thank you, everyone. I think most people are back. Thanks, Mike. Right, right, so yes, next item on the agenda. I think you can all hear me. Yeah, nods. Next item on the agenda is item 12. We've got a motion here. I think Councillor Pritchard. Is Councillor Pritchard here?
I am.
Over to you, Vic.
Okay then, so thank you, Chairman. The Liberal Democrat administrations emphatically will not remove the political content of their amendment, which is in direct conflict with the cross-party agreement that we as members do not use children or adult services for political gain. It's a sad thing that when we're trying to do something positive, this attitude works directly against the spirit of the council, and I have no other option than to withdraw the motion, Chairman.
Okay, now withdrawing motions is article item 38. Joe, I needed some advice here. Is it withdrawing motions? You're on mute.
Hi, Andy. Yeah, it's rule 39, and
39.
yeah, it's the key issue here is whether it's been moved or not. And as nothing has been moved, and if nothing is to be moved, there is no item on the table.
Okay.
And so Vic has not moved anything, and so therefore there is no item for debate.
Okay, thank you, Councillor Pritchard. So therefore that is completely withdrawn, although it was in the printed papers and there was an amendment due. None of that now is valid and is completely removed. So we can move. Am I getting a nod from you, Vic? That's what you wish?
You are, Chairman. I just gave a polite, attached a polite explanation for my intentions.
Okay, thank you very much, Councillor Pritchard. Okay, so we move on then. So, oh, you've thrown me now. Next item on the agenda, item 13. Now, Councillor Moss, I think you have something to tell me on item 13, which is a Labour motion in the printed papers, just to remind everyone.
Yes, we are looking to withdraw this motion as well. There was a late amendment coming from the Lib Dems, which, to be blunt, I think it would be more valuable to have a more measured discussion about what we can do about community wealth building over a period of time, rather than last thing on an evening. So we are withdrawing that motion as well.
Okay, withdrawn. So
grateful to Vic and I for shortening our evenings and quite considerably.
And normally I'd say we can all get home early or get to the pub, but we're already at home and going nowhere. So there we are. So thank you for that, Councillor Moss. So for those watching, item 13 is also removed from the agenda. So item 14 on the agenda, I've got 3 statements from councillors. So I've got Councillor Sarah Moore first on the list. Sarah, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
Yeah, over to you. You've got 3 minutes as normal, and there will be questions just to prime the leaders. I will be asking leaders, for, as we would normally with these statements, that they ask for factual questions again after Sarah's spoken. So, Sarah, over to you.
Thank you for allowing me to make this statement today. I'm taking a special interest in access for all our disabled residents across Baines. We have almost 7,000 blue badge holders across the authority area, and these badges are provided for several different reasons, but primarily they are for people that are unable to walk even short distances. A large proportion of these people have little option than to use a private car to do the simplest of things, such as shopping, hearing and eye tests, collecting their prescriptions, or meeting friends for a coffee when lockdown's lifted, obviously. This is often their only means of having any independence. Which councillors here today know how many blue badge holders they even have in their own wards? I'm currently working with officers to look at issues faced by not only our blue badge holders, but also those residents that do not have blue badge, but still struggle to get out and about, whether it's through a visible or hidden disability. They're entitled to enjoy our wonderful parks, towns and villages the same as everyone else. Whilst I understand the requirement for the social distancing measures that were put in place, these have often restricted the places our blue badge holders could easily access. And although new disabled bays were created in the city centre, and efforts were made to ensure blue badge holders still have parking, many disabled people felt this did not go far enough, which has resulted in many of them being unable to go out. Asking them to do things online is sometimes not an option for them and just makes them feel like prisoners in their own homes. I would ask that as we hopefully come out of lockdown, these measures are removed and these residents' needs are prioritised. I'm aware that there is a pan-disability study currently being developed in light of the city centre security project, and significant engagement has already taken place. However, there are a lot of ways we can help. For example, I have recently requested that dedicated disabled bays are put outside 2 of my local chemists to enable these individuals to do the small job of collecting their own medication once again.
1 minute.
I've also made several suggestions about our parking provision in the centre of Bath, installing more on-street disabled bays around the edge of the centre, and also suggesting that at least half of the bays in the Guildhall car park are made available to blue badge holders. I would like to challenge every councillor to look more closely at their own wards to see what simple things could easily be put in place to ensure every resident has their independence, and maybe use your ward empowerment funds for the coming year on putting in place something that would help these residents. Furthermore, I would request that all decisions and policies proposed or adopted by the council are assessed on a quality impact assessment relating to all forms of disability, whether they are physical, sensory, mental impairments or mental health. This should also relate to third parties seeking financial support or contracts with the council. Thank you once again.
Thank you, Councillor Moore. Councillor Romero, factual questions, please.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you to Councillor Moore. Can I just ask Sarah if she's made this statement in her capacity as advocate for access?
Yes, I have. I've obviously just been recently appointed to that position. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Myers, please.
No factual questions.
Thank you very much. Councillor Walker, please.
No factual questions, thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Moss.
Yes, before a factual question, declare an interest as I have a family member who has a blue badge. Thanks for your statement, Sarah. Do you think the council is doing enough for blue badge holders at the moment?
I think there's a considerable amount of work that can still be done, and hopefully we'll be able to push that forward as we come out of lockdown to try and improve the way we deal with our blue badge holders around the whole of Baines.
Thank you very much. Now, there have been a couple of questions in the chat. I'm not going to ask them of you now, Sarah, but those members who have questions, I'm sure if you email Councillor Sarah Moore with them, she will be able to respond to them as necessary. And if you wish to copy in the relevant officer, that would be great. Okay, so next, thank you very much, Councillor Moore. Next statement is Councillor Jess David, please.
Thank you, Chair. We are now a year into the COVID-19 pandemic, and I would like to make a statement about the impact of this year on women and to ask for your support for a piece of scrutiny work to assess and act on these impacts in Bath and North East Somerset. The pandemic has impacted all parts of our community, men and women, young and old, and of course rich and poor. However, I am struck by evidence that there has been a disproportionate impact on women of all ages, and I feel this must be considered as we look towards rebuilding our economy. There are 3 areas that I wanted to focus on in my statement this evening. Firstly, work. Nearly 2/3 of the UK's 9.8 million key workers are women, and many of these women earn less than £10 an hour. The pandemic has highlighted the low pay and occupational segregation faced by many women workers, particularly those in frontline jobs in sectors including social care and retail. The furlough scheme will end in September, and significant sectors of the economy, particularly those that employ large numbers of women, will see job losses. And the number of people on universal credit has nearly doubled since the beginning of the coronavirus pandemic. Support measures, including the extra payment that many families are relying on, will end in September, leaving many more women and families in crisis. I spoke to one of the founders of the Women's Work Lab, which is starting work in May to offer coaching and work placements to women who are currently out of work and on universal credit in Baines. This new service has been massively oversubscribed, and I was told includes many women that have lost jobs in hospitality and retail during the pandemic. It also includes many that have suffered domestic abuse. So I think there are many stories to tell here, and we need to learn from these in our future service planning. Secondly, caring. Women have faced a disproportionate burden of unpaid care during the last year. Necessary measures such as the closure of schools and childcare has meant that working parents have also become full-time carers. When social care services were closed and millions were asked to shield at home, many women were also left to fill this unpaid care gap. And for too many women, the impacts have been paid job loss and pay cuts. Meanwhile, the childcare sector is in crisis, and 58% of local authorities have warned of nursery closures in their area, reducing the availability of childcare and providing a further barrier to women returning to work. Thirdly, well-being. Analysis of data from the Office of National Statistics has highlighted the different effects of the pandemic on men and women. Put bluntly, while more men have died from COVID-19, women's well-being was more negatively affected than men's during the first year. The ONS found that women reported significantly higher levels of anxiety than men at almost every point in the last year. Women were also more likely to report loneliness during this period. And so my request today is that we establish a scrutiny process that will bring together an evidence base for Bath and North East Somerset on these issues and provide an opportunity for us to make recommendations for action, both in our economic renewal work and wider service provision.
Thank you very much, Councillor David. So I've got questions. Councillor Romero, please.
Thank you. Yes, my question is that would Councillor David consider sending this statement to the scrutiny, the chairs of scrutiny panels, so that they can best determine how this can be actioned? Because I can see it could quite easily fall within the remit of at least two panels, or indeed maybe some form of action. So scrutiny day might be more appropriate. So would Councillor David consider sending it to the chair of the scrutiny panels for consideration?
Yes, of course, and I do see this as a cross-cutting issue.
Great, thank you, Councillor Myers. So you, as you might be aware, but both hats now.
Yes, I know. Well, no factual questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Walker, please.
Thank you, Jess, but no factual questions.
Thank you again. And Councillor Moss, please.
Thank you, Jess. No factual questions, but thanks for the statement and happy to support.
Thank you.
Great. As with the previous statement, we will be passing this to the appropriate cabinet member, but as you say, it will probably go straight to the chair of scrutiny to determine how best that this is played out. Okay. Thank you, Jess, for that. So third and last statement from councillors. I've got Councillor Chris. Sorry, you're on mute, Chris. Chris, you're on mute.
Is it a problem?
I know, I'm pretty sure that most of you would prefer that I'd remained on mute, but the Bath Half Marathon is a very important event for our community. It brings thousands of residents together in a collective act of combined exercise and goodwill, which should be encouraged. It provides a vital lifeline for local charities who do important work to support our local residents. For many, it is their principal fundraising exercise for the year. Since its inception, £26 million has been raised for charities, more than half of that local. Without these charitable funds, the beneficiaries could easily fall back on council's stretched resources. Notwithstanding the importance of ensuring any event can be held safely in the current and future circumstances, it should be easy to assume that all actors involved would be resolutely behind ensuring the continued success of such an important community event. But now it seems not. I'm pleased to report that following meetings between myself, my colleague Councillor Myers and senior officers within the council, it is clear the council at least is committed to working with the organisers to find a date and a venue for the event this year. It is reassuring to know that despite the position of others, the council recognises the importance of the event and has every intention of facilitating its staging later this year. I would like to thank those officers, unnamed due to protocol, for their continuing support for the staging of the Bath Half Marathon this year.
Oh, thank you, Councillor Watt. Thank you very much. Councillor Romero, questions, please.
Well, my question was going to be, was Councillor Watt aware that the appropriate council officers are actually in discussion directly with the organiser of Bath Half Marathon about a future date for it taking place?
Yeah, yes, I am aware. And
yes, well, I
and
assume that,
you asked the question. I'm going to answer it, Dina. Yes, I am aware, and I put my thanks on record for the efforts that they're going to put into making sure the event gets staged.
Thank you very much. Councillor Myers, please.
No factual questions.
Thank you, Paul. Councillor Walker, please.
No factual questions. Thank you.
Thank you. And Councillor Moss, please.
No factual questions.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Councillor Watt. What we'll do again, that statement will be passed to the relevant cabinet member. I believe that might be Paul Crossley for those sorts of events. And I'm sure that you'll be in contact with him to understand what progress is to be made. Okay, so thank you for that. Before I draw the meeting to a close, I've got an announcer. When we were talking in the previous item, one of the members, Councillor Hedges, you wanted to make a declaration about a blue badge?
Yes, Chair.
You need to just explain. Steve, can you just sort of explain, please?
Well, I'm an owner of a blue badge, and I didn't realise blue badges were going to come into the statement at the end. So
okay, that's great. Great. And while we're on blue badges, then do any other members have blue badges so that there's equity? Councillor Jackson's got a hand up, I see. Just so that we all know. Okay. Well, it's on record. Eleanor, do you just want to say?
Well, I have a blue badge, but it's run out and I'm finding it extremely difficult to get it renewed under the new electronic IT system, but that's a debate for another time.
Thank you for that. Okay, so we've got those two blue badges. I don't think there's any others, members, but thank you for raising that with us. So item 14 is now closed. We've voted and debated everything on the agenda. And before I close the meeting, I'd just like to thank you all again for your patience. I'd like to thank Lisa, and Joe, Michael and Will and the other officers for their support. This is I presume this will be my last full council meeting in complete charge of you all. So thank you again for all of your patience towards me and dealing with this medium during this last year, which has been an interesting challenge, but we've got there. So well done, everyone. No cats and no falling out about standing orders. So it was excellent. Well done.